This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Monday, August 19th, 2024. As you can see, we are back in our studios here at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. We're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Gary Ruebel of Ruebel Farms. Gary is the owner of the 2024 Iowa State Fair Super Bowl Teddy Bear. But first, let's take a look at the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of the trading day here on Monday, we are joined by Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, we saw a lot of price movement last week in the ag marketplace. How did we start the week out this week?
Well, this week we started out positive in the grain markets, other than wheat, but in the corn and soybeans, a little bit of surprise. The strength that we saw today, and that certainly is good. We've really been in a downtrend now. It's a little surprise as well because of the commitment of traders report as well. Up to last week Tuesday, they showed the funds piling on to some short positions again. So they showed 6,462 short positions added by the funds up through Tuesday of last week. That brought their net shorts to 249,007 contracts. So they're going back down again after they had short covered for a period of time to some extent. In the soybean market, the funds had sold 5,431 contracts, put their net short position to 174,447. Now, you're going to see that flip-flopping back and forth down in the bottom here. And I shouldn't say that bottom. I'm not really specifically saying there's a bottom in the market because Pro Farmers Crop Tour is kicking off today. They're going to be going through the South Dakota I can't even think of it now. It's North Dakota and Ohio, South Dakota and Ohio. They'll be going through there, so we'll start getting a little bit of boots on the ground as far as the yields projections are there. There are some projections that we're going to see some, even some record yields coming out of some areas. Maybe not up in that area, but maybe as they move through the rest of this week. There was a private crop tour group that was sponsored by an elevator that went through central Illinois last week, and they pegged the corn yield at 247.1 bushels to the acre. That would be incredible yield. Now, I believe that USDA is looking at 225 when they did their last report on the projected yields coming in. So, and that's even high. But looking at 247.1, well, that's central Illinois. We're not looking at the whole state. The tour didn't look at the whole state, but it'll get a little maybe better representation from the Pro Farmer Crop Tour. And whether that's going to be very accurate or depending on where they take the samples, but it is the Pro Farmer Crop Tour has been going on for a long time, and the trade is going to watch that fairly closely. Now, we had export inspections this morning. Corn was at 45.907 million bushels compared to last week, 38.825 million. Soybeans, 14.633 million bushels compared to last week's 12.848 million bushels, and wheat was at 12.769 million bushels compared to last week's 24.496. So wheat was the real laggard there, about half of what it was the previous week. So that's probably part of the reason why wheat stayed under the pressure it has. Now we have the crop condition ratings will be out this afternoon. The anticipation is for 67% good to excellent as far as corn is concerned. That would be unchanged from last week. and that compares to 58% a year ago. Soybeans at 68% good to excellent, same as last week, and compared to 59% a year ago. So this is why the idea is there for these potential record crop yields. We are maintaining a good level of good to excellent as we've been moving through the summer. And of course, we got some good rains when they needed it, even in the last week, to help finish out that crop. And it's looking at some really bin busting yields there. And we've got a lot of grain that still needs to be coming to the market to make room for the farmers harvesting. And it's going to start creating some more of a problem, some basis decreases. It's held steady last Friday, but we're going to continue to probably see some of that erode to a large degree. Now, throwing on top of that, Canadian Railways has begun a progressive shutdown of its railroad network. They're at the bargaining table again with the Teamsters Union and the railroad, trying to work things out. And if they can't work things out, supposedly there's going to be a lockout taking place on August 22nd. That's this week. So it's again another one of those things that have to be monitoring, and there could be a temporary injunction, put in place, which probably will be. I don't think they'll shut down completely, but it is an issue that could impact some of our grain movement. Now, on the other side, a little bit of a different spectrum. Michigan Milk Producers Association and Canadian Dairy Distillery, they broke ground last week on a $41 million plant that's going to convert milk permeate, a byproduct of cheese making, to a dairy into 2.2 million gallons of ethanol yearly. So they're changing the byproduct of milk into ethanol. And that's something that was a complete surprise to see that they've been working on that. And now they're actually breaking ground on a $41 million facility to do that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that progresses, and throw maybe another aspect into the ethanol mix. I don't think it's really going to be that much that's going to have much of an impact on corn usage, but it's just something else that they're looking at for, becoming more sustainable, lower carbon fuels and things like that. So it's kind of an interesting side note.
Innovation in agriculture always continues to amaze us, that's for sure. Let's go over to the other side of the ag marketplace in the livestock complex. Robin, what did we see happen with the cattle and hogs?
Well, feeder cattle struggled most of the day, closing slightly lower. Live cattle saw some strength, kind of back and forth a little bit. They closed higher. The cash last week set the stage for probably a limited movement, limited strength this week. And we had dressed cattle $6 lower last week. We had southern live cattle $2 lower. That does not paint a positive picture for this week. Those who have been holding out as far as feedlots are concerned, the last 2 weeks, it's really came back and not been very well for them. And because of 2 weeks of downside, there could be a little bit of excitement there that they could maybe step up and try to sell more of those cattle, move more of those cattle before price goes lower. The current beef imports being higher are basically record weights at this point in time. That's weighing on that cattle market. And, packers are trying to improve their margins, and I don't think they'll be very aggressive moving through the week here and trying to bid higher. I think feedlots may throw in the towel a little bit more and try to move some of those animals they've been holding on to. Now, we did have at the midday, we saw a little lower box beef prices, choice down 70 cents, select down 78 cents. We saw some strength last week, but maybe we're going to start to see that back off a little bit. based on if consumer demand is going to continue to support that market. Now, on the hog side, futures opened lower but recovered nicely today. Cutouts at midday were up 25 cents. We really didn't see any cash market or cash prices in the midday report today for packer confidentiality, but there were a light number of hogs that were sold, so they didn't really want to put out a price that was not representative of what's going on. Cutouts were up 25 cents at midday, and but really, when we look at the difference between the hogs and the cattle, hogs have a lot better positive fundamental outlook than cattle right at the present time. So one of the concerns on cattle by the technical traders, or by comparison, if you want to say comparison traders, is could we be setting up for another repeat of what happened in March, where we stabilized, moved a little bit sideways for a little bit, tried to go a little bit higher, and then we made another leg down. And that's one thing I think also that's kind of holding over the head of some of the technical traders at the present time.
Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net, our guest here on Monday. Robin, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
They can call me directly at 877-256-3253, or go to our website, agmarket.net. There's an 844 number there. Feel free to pick up the phone, call us, and we'll be glad to help you.
Robin, thanks so much for the time. We always appreciate it, and have a great week.
All right, you as well. Thank you.
Thank you to Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net for our closing market summary. Let's turn now to the closing numbers, which can be found anytime on our website under the Markets tab at iowaagnet.com. September corn closes up 7.5 at $3.78 even. September soybeans up 17.5 at $9.56 1/4. September soybean meal up $8.30 at $3.11.70. September soybean oil up 52 cents at $40.47. Chicago wheat down 1 3/4 at $5.28 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 6 even at $5.87 1/4. Kansas City hard red wheat up 1 even at $5.40 3/4. September oats up 1 1/4 at $3.20 3/4. On the Merc, October live cattle up 72 cents at $179.02. September feeder cattle down 22 cents at $239.27. October lean hogs up $1.72 at $76.80. October pork cutout unchanged at $90.92. Class 3 milk up 36 cents at $22.27. That does it for our ag market coverage for today. It is time now to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And up next, I will be joined by Gary Ruebel of Ruebel Farms.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I am joined by Gary Ruebel. He is the owner of the 2024 Iowa State Fair Super Bowl named Teddy Bear. We're going to find out just how you get an animal to such an immense size for a big event like the Iowa State Fair. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here today with Gary Ruebel. He is the owner of the Big Bull, who is named Teddy Bear. And Teddy Bear is actually just behind our setup here at the Iowa State Fair. He is the Big Bull for 2024. Gary, congratulations on the big victory. What has this experience been like for you so far?
Hey, so far so good. Thanks for the congratulations. It's first time I ever did it, so it's kind of a learning experience in itself.
So that's very interesting. Your first time being involved, and the question I always ask the owner is, is it nature or nurture? Does it come down to that frame, the genetics of the animal, or is it what you are feeding that animal and helping them along the way that makes that ultimate difference, do you think?
I think it's all the above. We noticed last year when this bull came off the pasture, he had grown a lot. He'd gotten a lot taller and longer. And my wife and I had always talked about, this is a bucket list thing, about doing this big bull thing. And so we decided to go ahead, let's try it. He's too tall, probably too tall to be breeding anymore, because of the height. And so we decided to go for it. And then we put him on a pretty, really good diet that we had made special for us, and that helped a ton too. So.
Gary, so how long have you been in this line of work? And then I guess did that help you have that trained eye to see an animal that had the frame to potentially fill out?
I've been only in the cattle business now for like 15 years, and it's a true hobby. We have a 140 cow-calf operation. We have a hired man that takes care of most of it for us. Our main business, we're in the ag chemical business and manufacturing, and all of a sudden it's in your blood. The cattle thing's in your blood, so.
And you're located here in Saylorville, so not too far away. And we saw on, was it Thursday or Friday? I already can't remember. My days are running together. But when Teddy Bear got here on the trailer, showing a little bit of feisty tendencies on that trailer. What's he like when he gets to a spot where he knows he might be having to get out and move around?
Like I mentioned, he once he sees he doesn't have the lead rope on him, he knows he's a free man. Okay, and as soon as he sees you trying to put the lead rope on him, then there you go. Normally, when he's at home, he's laying down. We just kind of walk up and pop it on real quick before he gets up.
And you had mentioned a little bit earlier his special diet. Is that something you had formulated yourself? Is that something you asked some people for advice on potentially how to put on pounds? How did that work out?
Yes. In our business, one of our bigger feed customers is MFA Co-op in Missouri and then southern Iowa. And the head nutritionist is a good friend of ours, and we said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We need a special recipe. And he said, he wrote it up, and so it worked out fine. And I forgot what it's called. I think he just put Ruebel Big Bowl something on the formula. So.
Special formulation. Maybe someone else might be copying that formulation here in the future. And again, what was that final number for when Teddy Bear stepped on the scale?
3,064 pounds.
And is that kind of a ballpark of where you had him coming into this contest? What did you think coming in, and did he lose any weight on that trip here? Because we know when these animals get so big, go through any kind of stressor, they can, tend to lose some weight.
Yeah, we weighed him about every day all the way up. At first, we started out with a head chute with a scale under it, and then he got so big that he couldn't fit into there. His head sure couldn't go through it, so then we had to get him out the side gate. So we went and bought a bigger scale. The nutrition plays a huge part in this. But at the end of the day, I think you have to have somebody that he's kind of a couch potato. He likes to just eat, and he doesn't eat near as much hay as some of the other bulls that we've noticed too. And he doesn't get in quite as much roughage, and it's just his free choice, So.
And what breed is Teddy Bear?
He's a purebred Simmental.
And when we talk about Teddy Bear and I guess the demeanor of an animal like this, when they get to be as big as they are, sometimes you tend to see them, docile a little bit and maybe not wanting to move around as much as that. Like you said, he likes to eat. He likes to sit there and take in those calories. But what's he like when he's not eating?
When he's not eating, when he's out in the pen, we have him on a dry lot in about a quarter-acre dry lot. We have one other bull with him. Those two have been running together ever since we bought them both at the same time 3 years ago from Nichols Farms. And he's not the king of the hill. And so the other one is the boss of the two, and I think that helped his demeanor be a lot less, aggressive, and also he learned to lead very fast. I think he's used to kind of being the number two guy on the block, and I think that helped tremendously.
So Gary, you said it. This is your first time being involved. You come out and you win. Are you going to be back here in the competition?
I haven't been to the fair in about 10 years, and being here for 10 days out of your life, you got other things to do, obviously. It's fun. You see a lot of people, a lot of friends. You meet some new people. You see people from high school you haven't seen in 45 years or whatever. And we do have another one at home that's just about as big or pretty much the same size. So we were going to take him to the sale barn and didn't get rid of him. I just told my hire man yesterday, I said, don't sell him yet. Okay, we're going to think about this. So.
And then, Gary, the thing I think is always cool about the Super Bowl is that chance to connect with people here at the fair that maybe don't have any indication about agriculture or what goes into raising an animal. And you're right here on the front lines. You get this lineup of people standing in front of the Super Bowl, especially on the weekend, where you've got to get in line and hang out in line for a while to just get a chance to get eyes on him.
Yeah, you do. I can't even imagine how many people have gone through here in the last few days. Saturday and Sunday were just crazy. The line clear outside and all that. And you get a lot of weird questions. I mean, but a lot of the normal stuff over and over and over again, and that's fine. It's hard. I feel sorry for him because it's hard for him to get used to just being there by himself. I know he's a little lonely, and they pulled all the other calves out the other night. The governor steers left the other night, and so there was nobody in there except him the one night. But now there's a bunch of other calves in there, so he's happier, way happier. Yeah, so.
That's good to hear. We want to keep Teddy Bear happy, especially while he's here at the fair. And then, Gary, you've got a lot of people here helping you. Who came along to help you out this week?
Yeah, I've got a couple of guys, Tyler Jones and Scott Denton. They're both friends from down in southern Iowa, and they both stay here at the campground the full time. And so they volunteered even before we even entered the contest. They volunteered that if you ever do this, we'll help you out. And thank heavens they did. They did, because they're here, and I can't say enough about the appreciation we have for them, and as well as my nephew, Jay Ruebel. He trained the bull to lead most of the summer because I broke my leg on Memorial Day. And so I've been going up, back to the farm and walking around with trying to lead Teddy Bear with a boot on, and that wasn't too fun.
Well, Gary, we thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us here today. It's been fun to see Teddy Bear hanging out here all this week and getting that chance to win some hardware. And again, best of luck, I guess, if you ever decide to get in the contest again. Okay, thanks. We hope. We'll see. We'll think about it. Congratulations one more time. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you to Gary Ruebel for joining today's show. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcast, which are found on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean. Also, make sure to check out our daily Iowa Ag Matters podcast. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.